27 years making fun of literally everyone and everything. They've mocked every president, every politician, every celebrity, every demographic, every religion, every ideology. That is literally their entire brand.
South Park just dropped a bombshell. A production leak confirms they're gearing up to torch Chuck Schumer in an upcoming episode. And the timing couldn't be more vicious, because the shutdown already stripped him bare, exposing him as the politician willing to let Americans go hungry just to score a political win. And the shutdown handed South Park everything: hypocrisy on camera, suffering in real time, and ego masquerading as leadership. You remember what South Park did to Trump, right? They didn't need to exaggerate him or turn him into some cartoon villain. They just removed the cheering crowd and showed what was underneath.
Get this guy out of here! I'm gonna sue you! I'm gonna sue both of you!
A man desperate for control, terrified of losing relevance, performing strength because reality didn't match the myth he built around himself. The satire worked because it exposed the performance of power.
They went after Donald Trump, they talked about Jeffrey Epstein, Stephen Colbert, and their parent company, Paramount. In one of the clips, Donald Trump replaces a longtime character, Saddam Hussein.
Now, look at Chuck Schumer. For years, he sold himself as the calm, steady adult in the room, the responsible one, the moral one, the leader who protects the American people. But the shutdown blew that costume apart in seconds.
I put the blame for the government shutdown on Senator Chuck Schumer. This is his doing. The shutdown is about to affect millions of people. We are at the pain point. Chuck Schumer should be the one feeling pain, political pain.
Suddenly, the man who preached compassion was perfectly willing to let Americans go hungry just to force a political outcome in Washington. That wasn't leadership, that was ego using suffering as leverage. And South Park lives for moments like this. They don't have to rewrite or exaggerate anything. All they have to do is show him exactly as he is now, and the image collapses on its own. Because once the mask cracks, the performance is over.
Just try and stay focused no matter what your opponent says.
Don't let him rattle you. He's gonna do whatever he can to try and mess with your head. Don't buy into it. Whatever he says, just respond with, "My opponent is a liar and he cannot be trusted."
Got it.
Vote for her. She knows politics. She really wants to put this country first.
My opponent is a liar.
Would you just please shut
and
up?
He cannot be.
Get out of your own way.
Cannot be trusted.
And when South Park went after Hillary, they didn't call her evil and make her a monster. They exposed the act. The speeches, the "I care about you" tone, the perfectly timed emotional pauses, all of it revealed as calculated performance, not belief. The satire hit because South Park showed that the empathy was scripted, rehearsed, manufactured for votes. The satire didn't attack her words. It attacked the gap between the words and the truth.
Our problems are large. They're enormous. They're on the health front, they're on the economic front, and it will take big, bold action to help the American people.
And that's where Chuck Schumer is wide open. Schumer has spent decades perfecting the role of the gentle, caring statesman, the man who feels your pain and fights for families. But the shutdown ripped that costume straight off. The moment real people were staring at empty EBT balances, he didn't step in to help. He used that desperation as leverage, treating grocery money like a bargaining chip in a political poker game.
And 51,000 people will die in the next year because they won't have health care.
The soft voice, the emotional speeches, the protector of the people persona, it all looks different now. Once the shutdown exposed that his empathy was a performance rather than conviction, the entire act lost its weight. South Park doesn't need to exaggerate or distort anything. All they have to do is show Chuck Schumer exactly as he is when the cameras aren't staged, and the illusion shatters on its own.
Can't let you into town.
So, you think you can block me?
Look, people don't want you here, okay? This is a quiet little town and...
Ha ha ha! You cannot block me!
Look, there's plenty of other places you could go, sir. Can you please just...
And when South Park roasted Mark Zuckerberg, they targeted the phony moral authority he tried to project. Zuckerberg talked about connecting people, building community, and making the world better, while quietly harvesting data, violating privacy, and consolidating control. The satire worked because it exposed the gap between what he claimed to be and what he actually did when no one was looking.
Yes, you, sir.
Mr. Zuckerberg, Facebook has become a tool for some to disrupt our country and our community.
You say these things like they are my fault, and yet they are not.
Well, you did create a platform with a monetary incentive for people to spread misinformation.
That same gap is now sitting on Chuck Schumer's shoulders. Schumer positions himself as the ethical guardian of American democracy, the man who stands up for what's right, lectures the nation about morality, and scolds anyone who strays from his definition of values. But when Senator Bob Menendez was caught with gold bars and bribery money, Schumer didn't condemn him, he protected him. No outrage, no moral stance, just silence and political cover. And that's the hypocrisy South Park loves to destroy. A man preaching ethics while shielding corruption behind closed doors.
We all believe in the presumption of innocence in this country, and Senator Menendez is fighting very hard, and we respect that greatly.
South Park's roast of Kanye wasn't about scandals, it was about ego and fragility. They showed how someone can be so obsessed with being respected, admired, and taken seriously that the smallest joke becomes a threat. The moment Kanye couldn't laugh at himself, the audience saw the insecurity beneath the confidence, and the satire wrote itself.
There are a lot of people out there making up rumors about me that are malicious and untrue. But I'm going to prove once and for all I am not a fish. Because I am a genius, I have ascertained that fish have gills.
That same pressure point now sits squarely on Chuck Schumer. Schumer has built his identity on being untouchable, the seasoned strategist, the unshakable Senate leader, the man who always looks composed behind a podium. But the second the shutdown forced real consequences into the public eye, his calm posture cracked, his tone shifted, his messaging stuttered, his confidence faltered. You could see it, not in what he said, but in how desperately he tried to control the narrative. And South Park thrives on that exact moment, the moment a politician realizes they can't hide behind their title anymore.
What if I persuaded my caucus to say I'm going to shut the government down, I'm going to not pay our bills unless I get my way?
This season of South Park has been built around power stripped of its safety net. Every episode has targeted leaders who thought they controlled the narrative. Trump, his allies, media empires, political influencers, foreign power brokers, and exposed what happens when authority stops looking like strength and starts looking like self-preservation. The show isn't just mocking individuals. It's pointing at a system where those in charge bend morality, institutions, and public messaging to protect themselves while ordinary people pay the price.
The shutdown fight. This should be the end of his career as a Democrat leader. He's refused to sign the spending plan that he agreed to in March. He said no 13 times to something he's already agreed to. That's why food stamp benefits for 42 million people run out this weekend. That's why tomorrow, for the first time, all military branches will miss paychecks.
Chuck Schumer fits directly into that structure now. The shutdown didn't just create political tension, it created real-world harm that people can feel in their kitchens, in their paychecks, in their gas tanks, in their grocery aisles. And while families were adjusting budgets and counting meals, Schumer was busy trading leverage and congratulating himself on strategy. That is the exact kind of disconnect South Park has been highlighting all season. The powerful living in a world where pain is theoretical, while everyday Americans live with the consequences.
End in sight. Millions of Americans are on the verge of losing access to food assistance known as SNAP, often referred to as food stamps, as early as next week.
The narrative is already aligned, the tone is already set, and the audience is already primed. South Park doesn't need to change direction or force a new storyline. So Schumer naturally steps into the spotlight as the next symbol of power built on performance. The shutdown exposed him at the exact moment the show is dissecting leaders who use strategy as a shield while real people deal with the fallout. In other words, they don't have to create the roast, they just have to press play.
The government shutdown is approaching the 1-month mark now, and with no end in sight, money for the federal food assistance program known as SNAP is set to run out this weekend.
Right now, the shutdown is hitting where it hurts most. Families checking EBT cards and finding nothing, parents rationing meals, federal workers laboring without pay, and food banks pushed to their limit. This isn't politics, it's kitchen table reality. And while all of that unfolded, Chuck Schumer treated the suffering like just another negotiation tactic. That's exactly when South Park steps in, when power forgets the people paying the price.
Democrats are solely responsible for all of this unnecessary pain.
South Park moves in when a politician's image finally breaks. Schumer sold himself as the calm protector of ordinary Americans, but the shutdown exposed him as someone willing to use hunger and paychecks as bargaining chips. That gap between the performance and the reality is exactly where South Park strikes. If you think Schumer is the perfect next target, like the video and hit subscribe. We're just getting started.